What's up, everyone? Welcome to this Sunday Game of Thrones finale day. Figured I'd go on live to take up some time until the show comes on. Let's see here. Is there anybody even on? Let me see. Maybe I have it on private or something. Nope. Looks like we're on. There's nobody on right now. If you're on, hit me up. Let me know. The code for today is RB519, 20% off. What's up, Derek? I've been really thinking about this a lot lately, about radically changing my technique, or how do you actually do that once you're an established player, once you hit your mid-20s or so. It's very difficult to change your style. And usually the way that you change your style is by changing your technique. And it's very difficult to change your technique. When I was writing the Beato book, which, by the way, is 20% off today, I have a chapter in there about sweep picking, because some of the book is for guitar. Those of you that know, there's about a quarter of the Beato books devoted to the guitar out of the 461 pages. And I have a thing about sweep picking in there, about developing lines and playing ideas like that. And the only sweeping that we did back early on when I was a player, you would see people, this is really pre-Frank Gambale, you would see jazz players play simple major seventh arpeggios like that. That would be, or you'd call it just a rake picking. That's what we used to call it. No one called it sweep picking, because they were pretty much just using shapes like major seventh chords, things like that. And these ideas that I'm talking about will apply to all different instruments. Changing your technique is not something that is unique to the guitar, obviously. But all of it, it's just like trying to change, something that you do repetitively, whether it's a golf swing, whether it's playing the piano, whether it's trying different fingering combinations on your instrument that you're not used to, or one of the biggest things is actually, for the guitar, for example, is to change how high you wear the guitar and whether you play off your right leg or left leg. There are things, I did this video on Alan Holdsworth and Pat Metheny this week, and I talked about how their playing is more alike than you think, because they have a very common harmonic vocabulary that I don't think people realize. They use very similar scales, they use different chord shapes. Alan tends to finger his chords differently than Pat because of the size of his hands. Pat uses his thumb a lot. Alan holds his guitar higher than Pat, or did hold his guitar higher than Pat. And the height of the guitar will determine how easy it is to play things that have larger stretches. The larger you can stretch your hand, the more, theoretically, the more intervallically you can play, okay? There's other things that you can do intervallically, like string skipping, right? If you see me do a lot of lines like that. If I play a pentatonic scale and I'm skipping strings like that, then those kind of lines are, you don't have to have a wide stretch, but you're actually skipping strings, and you can use things like hybrid picking if you're playing wide intervals. If you want to play things like sevenths, those would be very hard. Those are hard to... Those are very hard to alternate pick, obviously, right? It's much easier to hybrid pick like that. When I was in college, I was listening to a lot of piano players, and there's ideas that you can play on the piano, arpeggio ideas. Let's say I'm playing over a D chord. Now, a lick like that is very easy for me to play on the piano. That's a hard lick to play on the guitar. Very hard to play on the guitar because there's a pinky bar in it. Right there. There's string skipping. And there's a lot of turnarounds in the lines. So that is a very difficult type of line to execute if you're not used to it. That is very hard to do. Anytime you have lines with pinky bars, very hard to play, right? Because now I'm wearing the guitar way higher than I normally wear it. Normally, my guitar is here, as you guys know. Now you notice I'm playing much cleaner there. All the notes are cleaner because my right hand is in the proper position that it normally is, right? So just by changing the position of the guitar here, this has made it easier for this hand, but more difficult for this hand. Okay, so this I can play because all the muting of my palm, where I'm deadening the strings so they don't ring out, is that is really a big part of that type of playing cleanly like that. Now, if I want to play bigger interval jumps, though, something like, let's say I'm playing a D chord. Let's say I want to play something like that. Okay, so I'm playing. Let's see here. Something like that. Hard. Okay, so that line is very, very difficult right there to play. I changed it a little bit, but here's the hard part. So I'm doing a fifth interval there, but I'm doing it on one string. Now, if I have the guitar like this, it becomes next to impossible to do that. And one of the reasons is that my left arm is right up against my body here, okay? So, and a lot of it has to do, right here, even the guitar, this part of the guitar, if I were to play in the Strat that's sitting behind me, because of the way that the tapering of the neck here on this keysel is much more conducive to playing lines way up high on the neck like that. Okay, so this kind of playing here, those kind of sus arpeggios like that on one string are difficult. Same with doing triads. If you're doing any type of triads on one string, really the only way that you can do it and execute it, I think, comfortably, is to play off the left leg. I can't really do it in here and stay in the camera focus here, but if I were to play a triad, right? Let's see. Now it becomes next to impossible. Thanks, Deb. You saw Osno, Jeff Berlin, and Dennis Chambers last night. Oh, man, that's great. That must have been a fun gig. So those type of arpeggios, those major triads, almost impossible. So it's... when it gets into these strings, very, very difficult. You have to practice that a lot. But, you know, when you're not talking about as big of intervals, if you're talking about things like fourths, right, are much easier to execute because the hand is not like that, right? But but distributing the notes, for example, in this D major triad, if I distribute them like that, it makes it a lot easier to play that. Or if I play it. Now I can play that here too, like this, normally. And once again, throwing in those fourth intervals there make the lines a lot more interesting when you do that, okay? Other ways to change your technique or change your sound, changing your pick. I tend to use a medium Dunlop pick here. This is a really heavy jazz pick that has a point at the end. And this is really a very different sound. Listen to the sound. This sounds more like a shredder guitar player would. Each attack of the note has a little bit more of a 5-watt world, everybody. When you're picking every note, it's a lot. You can hear the. I think you can actually hear the attacks of the notes. There's also less surface area on the tip of the pick, so the pick has less drag to it. And listen to this one. You can already hear it's harder to play, right? Or this. I'm not used to it, but the sound of it is really good, I think. So, players that have really changed their technique dramatically. So I went back when I was, oh, by the way, I have a new band hammer here, thanks to my friend Keith from 5-Watt World. He sent me a band hammer. Check it out here. That's going to be the new band hammer sound when somebody gets banned, right there. Oh, I love that. Isn't that good? That is the band hammer. I'm going to have to actually have band hammer put right on here. Gone. Zoltan, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Remember, RB519 is the code, discount code, 20% off. That's how I make a living for my channel. Audrey, you like that? HK. That's how I make a living for my channel, selling books, selling t-shirts, and selling mugs. And I gotta throw out a big thanks to everybody for watching the Matheny Holdsworth video. I thought that video was gonna die. It's done about 45,000, which is for those guys is really great. I mean, I had people writing and saying, I've never heard of them. I posted it on Instagram, and there's people on Instagram that have never heard of Pat Matheny and Alan Holdsworth. I mean, I don't know. It's just very weird. So, oh, and those of you that have checked out my new failure, What Makes This Song Great. So I looked on my thing and I saw it come up on Reddit. I'm going to read you a Reddit somebody posted on Reddit last night, and here's a here, I'm going to send you the link to it if you want to go and upvote it. And there's this guy, Tragic Ether is this guy. This is a trolly, this is Tyrolean troll here. He says, ready? Here's what he says about this. My biggest problem with this guy is that he barely explains what makes the song great. He just explains what's happening in the song. Okay, I explain what's happening in the song. Sure, he got close mentioning the caveman fills and Cobain's stuff, but what about the music makes it good or unusual or specifically pleasing? What about all the melody note choices that I talked about? What about all the intervals? I wrote out the entire melody of the single line and explained what notes they were against the chords. You could not get more specific about this. I say this is what makes a great melody, the use of color tones, and I go on with that. These are the kind of people that make Reddit a hilarious place, as far as I'm concerned. When I read these things, Kasubi, yeah. Well, I guess there's that. I mean, other than the fact that I talked about every single part of every song, I talked about how the guitars sound, how the sounds were recorded. These are all the things that make the song great. And I said that this is why. It's one of the best sounding songs of the 90s. The drum sounds, the combination of guitars, what amps they used, it's so there you go. So you guys can go and click on that link and go, you can go troll him, whatever his name was. I can't remember. And for those of you that haven't checked out the Failure video and don't know Failure, they're a killer band. And the record Fantastic Planet is a great record of the 90s. And somebody else said, oh, why do you do grunge bands? Failure was not a grunge band at all. There's nothing grunge about Failure. They were a very space age, especially with the... it's actually down a half step. I love that look. I love that. It's so beautiful. And then those... That's so fat. There's nothing grunge about Failure. Thank you, whoever just said that. W1 and yes. There's nothing grunge about Failure. Failure is some ways the opposite of grunge. Timo, is that how you say it? Heinrichs. I'm not good with my German. Aaron's better at the German. So they're more of like a shoegaze band, Joe just said. Yes, they're you know what? They're a shoegaze band that is but they're also very technical. They're like Helmet too. They were kind of like Helmet, Hum, but there was a lot of precision in the playing. Very, very precise playing. Everything about it was precise. You can't go wrong with Failure. Use your brain. I like that. Sonically very interesting. So getting back to technique. Now, Holdsworth's playing. So I went back and for this video today, I went back and listened to Jean-Luc Ponty, The Enigmatic Ocean, which came out in 1977. And for those of you that like fusion, that is a great fusion record. But Alan Holdsworth's playing on it is not nearly as good as it was in 1982. We're talking 5 years. Well, it's not really 5 years difference, because when I interviewed Gary Husband, who was the drummer on IOU, he said they actually recorded it in 1980. So there was even though it came out in 82, Alan Holdsworth IOU came out in 82, but it was recorded in 80. There was a massively big change in Alan's playing between 77 and 80. 77 and 80, and even between 77 and 78. 78 was the first UK record. But the difference in his playing, even from 78 to 80, was dramatic. Now, granted, he was playing his own music, so he was able to do things differently. But his intervallic playing became much more... He used many wider intervals in his playing when he hit IOU, and... it wasn't quite as scalar in the way it was on the Ponty record and even on the UK record. So those are the things. If you listen to the song Nevermore, which I demonstrated in the Matheny Holdsworth. Sorry that I have distortion here. I can't play that. But even his playing on that is very scalar, meaning that there's not as wide of intervals. So his playing really changed. He changed his playing. Matheny changed his playing very radically between 78 and 83 or 82. His playing also changed radically. Now, they were a different age because Alan is was about 8 years older than Pat. So Alan's playing was changing when he was older. Pat was going from being 23 to 29 or so. And that's a big, big time in your life when your playing changes. Thank you, Ro. Appreciate that. Things that happened in Pat's playing, his alternate picking became far, far more developed. You'll notice that he was doing a lot of lines early on in Bright Side's Life where he'd be going, things like this. A lot of slides, things like that. He would mimic playing fast. He found workarounds because his left hand wasn't his right hand was not strong enough to keep up with his left hand, and he'd be doing a lot of hammer-on, 2-note per string hammer-ons like that. A lot of lines like that, whereas later on you started hearing him play even double notes. He also would play more. He always played intervallically. He always did that. That was always part of his thing, jumping up and down one string. But his playing improved because of his right hand, the technical part of his right hand. Alan changed his left hand. Pat changed his right hand. And Pat was able to execute lines. And to me, his most advanced playing was probably on the Travels live record. Song for Bilbao is probably, to me, one of Pat's most brilliant solos. Technically, structure-wise, I wish I could analyze it. It's on ECM Records, but I cannot analyze it. If you go, I have many bootlegs from that early era of Matheny there, where his technique, he was practicing 3 hours a day, and those guys were practicing a lot at that time. They were writing and making their own records. So the question is, I'm saying to myself, well, can I really improve my technique? Do I play lines like this? I mean, I just made that up, right? So, see if I can play it with this pick. So this is... That pick is hard for me to play like that. Those kind of like... but here I can do that. If I'm here... Those are, that's doable. If I'm here, I can't do it. Well, I can. Then I have to start going into hybrid picking. So I'm just playing over a D major chord there, right? I'm using just a D, like a D Mixolydian scale here, right? But I'm distributing the notes. I like that. I like distributing the intervals like that. I think it's really, I think it's more interesting. But like I said, if I move the guitar over here, it is far easier to play. But then the right hand has to get redeveloped again. How do you come up with these patterns? I play the things that to me just sound good. That I mean, when I first started doing intervals, I would do things like spread triads, right? Right? That's like the Eric Johnson kind of stuff. I just love those intervals like that. I just think it's so interesting. It's beautiful. And the suspensions, right? Knowing those arpeggios and being able to play them, thank you, Michael, and being able to I would practice my arpeggios all the time. That's like a dominant 9 arpeggio. Those are beautiful sounds, right? And then I would say, well, what else can I do in there? I can do. So I played a D major spread triad, next inversion, and then C major, D sus4. And then I would get into the string skipping like that. That would be kind of another by the way, this is one of my presets on my Helix stomp pedal that I sell the presets. I have 3 sets of presets for sale in my store, by the way. Or maybe they're on Flat 5. Aaron knows. But by the way, Beato book, everything in my store, 20% off, RB 519, today's date. This is how I make my living. You want to support the channel, that's how you can do it. Or you can become a member of the Beato Club also. But the string skipping. Now I'm going up each set of strings. I'm taking the same interval shape and going up a D mix leading scale. That's hard there. I've never played that before. So here, I'll try this. See if I can play it a little. Ah. Let me try it like this here. No, it's easier this way. Woo! That is, that's hard to do. Let me play it slow. I missed that. Oh. That's the only one I have to change the fingering on there. What did Andy James do? I've been playing licks like this. These are in the Beato book. Lines like this from 1989. Before these guys were born. That's a... Anyways, so can I play that behind my head? What kind of a guitar is this? This is a Kiesel guitar here. This is one that they made for me that is... I didn't play it for a while because I don't know why I didn't play it for a while. It takes me a while to get used to new instruments, so I didn't play it in live streams. And then I had Dave Honorato, who you guys have seen in my videos, set it up for me, and he set it up just great, and it really plays well, especially this kind of stuff. It's so easy to grab that highest note up there. That high D is really easy. I love the guitar. It's a great guitar. Okay, so that's all I got for today. I'm going to watch Game of Thrones tonight. I'm very excited. I don't know what's going to happen, but don't know what's going to happen. But I got to think that something unusual is going to happen. There's got to be something that's not expected. You expect Daenerys to die or something, right? But I think Tyrion. I'm with Franks. I think Tyrion wins. I think he and I think that he is going to be. That's what I think. We'll all see. What's up, SB? We'll see. We'll see what happens. This is going to be really fun. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Tyrion will win, though. I think. You guys are the best. RB519. Check out my new video. Hey Tom, check out my new video with Failure and my Matheny Holdsworth video if you haven't checked it out yet. And I was on Bill Burr's podcast, for those of you that didn't hear it, from the 13th, a week ago Monday. That was really hilarious. He played my John Bonham, quantizing John Bonham video. And by the way, if you guys get a chance, you can go troll on and upvote my Reddit thing here and tell the guy that said that I didn't explain what was great about the song, except everything. Yeah, I was on Bill Burr's podcast. He explained feel, and it's at 1 hour on the 13th of May. Right at 1 hour, he plays. You hear me saying, "Hi, I'm Rick Beato," and then he gets everything queued up. He talks about what feel is, about playing ahead of the beat, on the beat, behind the beat, and then I quantized. He said not quantized. He called it quantized. It was hilarious because he freaked out because an ad came on. You'd think that they would have an ad blocker, An ad came on. He freaked out. It was hysterically funny. Yeah. So the Reddit guy, you know what to do to him. So there you go. Yeah, go to Bill Burr's. It's 2 weeks ago now. It's his second to last one, but it's at 1 hour and 1 minute or so. He starts talking about it. It's hilarious. Quantized. You guys are the best. Have a great day. If you're going to watch Game of Thrones tonight, I'll be there watching it with you. Thank you.